We continue our story with the Omega Supreme mission going just like it did in canon. Optimus, Warpath, the GOAT, and Ironhide, the secondary GOAT, all go to the core to rescue Omega Supreme. Still a few Decepticon drones because I don't think Megatron would really take the time to really care about it here. And Stinger might propose they could probably send someone down there, but again, in canon, it was actually barricaded and he winds up getting jumped by Bumby and Cliffjumper, so yeah, that still happens. So let's actually talk about what's really happening. Kaon. It's very different now. The Decepticons are kind of picking sides. Stinger and Megatrons. Both of them have showed who they really were at the core. And this conversation not only got leaked out, but pretty much I guess you could say progressed through all the Decepticon ranks. And so now Decepticons are questioning, what is the Decepticon cause now? Who were they willing to follow? Who is their undeniable leader? But are they really willing to defy Megatron for Stinger? Now, does the core shut down? And I'm actually going to say maybe. I think that regulating the energon flow can have some negative side effects. And maybe because it does operate like a heart for Primus, this could actually mess it up. And they wind up, well, I guess you say, giving the core some type of cardiac arrest. So let's just say it does shut off and Optimus still receives the Matrix. Or Orion still sees from Matrix, still becoming Optimus Prime. Now, Megatron still goes through with his whole Trypticon plan. However, it's different. He's surrounded by other Decepticons, those approving, or he thinks that are approving. Soundwave doesn't. He's seen the flaws in it and has been more open about it. But this time, it's too far. And he walks down into the chamber of Stinger, who unfortunately is in the middle of a good time with Shadow Striker, so Soundwave kind of walked in at the wrong time. And Stinger's like, dude, really? And Shadow Striker's like, we just had the chamber closed for a reason and had a do not disturb sign. Are you kidding me right now? To which Soundwave is like, I greatly apologize, but right now we have a situation. Megatron is attacking fleeing Autobot ships that have chosen to leave the planet. And Stinger, after, fixing himself, looks at Soundwave and is like, you had better be lying. He wouldn't. He shouldn't even been doing that. They're leaving. They're fleeing the planet. We've won. We've got Cybertron to ourselves. To which Soundwave was simply like, unfortunately, that would never be enough. Megatron's hunger, his bloodlust, seemingly knows no end. And this is where Stinger's like, I can't do this. I can't stomach this anymore. Are you with me? To which Shadow Striker seems like, yeah, as our Blackout, Flame War, and even Dreadwing, surprisingly. The Constructicons, however, are still loyal to Megatron, unfortunately. To which Stinger says, that's fine. Then the 5 of us will still go. And with Sunstreaker and Strongarm both already ahead, let's execute this operation. And this is where he turns to Soundwave. Are you with him? To which Soundwave does say something very spark-felt. He had never questioned Megatron in all of his years. He had never once saw the Decepticon cause as anything more than something right. But now, over the years, he sees that there is only one person to follow. And that's you. You've been betrayed, backstabbed, but yet you still held on to your morals. You're someone I'm willing to fully follow as my master. To which Stinger's like, hold on, wait. Time out a minute. I am not your master, Soundwave. I'm your friend. To which Soundwave is like, very well. I will follow you to the very end, my friend. And to which Stinger's like, good. Let's go show Megatron 1-4. And so Stinger makes his way to the war room. And he looks at Megatron, dead in the optics, and says, what are you doing? To which Megatron says, claiming victory for the Decepticons. They're fleeing ships. And keep in mind, Stinger is circling around the table as other Decepticon soldiers simply look on. And this is where Megatron simply states, you're questioning me again. To which Stinger says, questioning you, no, I'm defying you. You're going too far. This isn't about some war and cause about bringing equality to Cybertron. You're doing this for over some petty ambition. Did you and Orion actually have far more history than you're leading on to? And this is why you're doing it? To which Megatron simply states, watch your mouth. And this is where Stinger simply leans over the table and asks him, or what? What are you gonna do, you petty, vindictive tyrant? And this is where Megatron uses his fusion cannon and opens fire on Stinger. However, Stinger leaps over the table and drop kicks him. Now you might say, where is Soundwave? Well, when the Viacon soldiers go to move in, Soundwave deploys Laserbeak and Rumble. Yeah, I'm gonna keep Rumble in this timeline. Don't worry about it. And they tear apart the drones, with Megatron being in shock that Soundwave betrayed him. Both of them betrayed him. Megatron, however, is currently engaged with Stinger. And this is where Megatron brings out his Energon Mace and Stinger brings out his Plasma Blade. Both weapons clashing as they twirl around each other in a gladiatorial display. And to which Megatron pretty much monologues and goads Stinger, telling him perhaps it would have been better to leave you dying there with your friend. And to which this is where he simply states one simple thing to Megatron, or Stinger states one simple thing to Megatron. And you would have never gotten into Iacon as easily without me. But now, let's see how you do when I make sure your reign ends right here and right now. And so Megatron and Stinger simply go back and forth, band for band. Stinger's speed and agility being a good counter to Megatron's overall strength and endurance. And the battle is a test of attrition, a test of fighting styles. Basically, Metallico versus gladiatorial pit fighting. It is a bloody duel. However, there is one deciding thing that pretty much gives Stinger the upper hand. His Bloodstorm cannon. The moment Megatron's weapon is thrown back, Stinger basically pulls a Dark of the Moon, Revenge of the Fallen Optimus, and twists around, summons his Bloodstorm cannon, and blasts his Megatron right out of the control room. And so this is where he goes to the computer and contacts Optimus. And Optimus is a little bit shocked and obviously taken aback. And he's like, Stinger, what are you? Don't worry about it. Where is Trypticon right now? And this is where he actually reveals that the aerial bots have taken care of it. And, well, they're going to intercept. To which Stinger's like, good, he's on his way. And so this is where he tells Soundwave, this might be our last stand. We're heading against a freaking kaiju, for crying out loud. To which Soundwave says, I meant what I said. We're following you to the very end. Ready to go, my friend? And Stinger's like, heck yeah, let's go. However, as they make their way to the destination, they see something horrifying. The dead bodies of Strongarm and Sunstreaker, as they're being stared over by Bludgeon, who's laughing maniacally. And he says, Megatron knew about your little plan. Just in case this would ever happen, he assigned me to essentially stalk you and hunt you. And now look where we are. To which Soundwave simply states, judging by his analysis, they were attacked from behind. To which Bludgeon simply states, of course they were. You think I would let these rookies try and fight? No. I killed them as they were working on the ship. And this is where the rest of the team arrives, as it definitely would have took, Shadow Striker a bit of a while to find Dreadwing and Blackout, who were doing their own thing. And Flamemore was, being Flamemore. And when they see this, they look in horror. And as Soundwave and Stinger explain the situation, Dreadwing is angry because Bludgeon is dishonorable. He represents everything wrong with combat and the Decepticon cause. However, Stinger simply states to Dreadwing, no, he'll handle it himself. He wants to end this right here and right now. It's personal. To which Dreadwing simply states, but why? This is more than just a petty grudge. He dishonored us. He dishonors the cause. And I know we're leaving it, but still we. And this is where Shadow Striker stops him. Dreadwing, please. They were his students, his pupils. And now it's very much a personal matter. To which Dreadwing understands now and simply states, very well, but if you are going to kill him, here. And this is where Stinger turns around and catches something shocking. And he simply states, you sure about this? You don't want your weapon as of right now. To which he's holding Dreadwing's sword. And Dreadwing simply states, I know I will get it back from you, as I have every bit of faith you will win this, and show this Decepticon coward what a true warrior looks like. And so, as the others simply watch, Bludgeon tries to sneak attack him. However, Stinger's able to simply move out of the way and blocks the blade. And this time, he jumps forward. This means he actually shoves Bludgeon with the blade, sending him crashing into a wall as he pins him for a bit. As they both clash, Stinger is telling them to get on the dropship and he'll meet them out there. So, the five of them basically get on the ship, with Soundwave telling him good luck. And well, with Blackout as the pilot, they take off. But as for the fight itself, it's a very good back and forth. The skill, the demonstration, each opponent lands a cut. However, while Stinger is good with Dreadwing's blade, Bludgeon is a master with his. It's perfection versus someone who's just simply great at it. And well, this does seem to get the upper hand. However, Bludgeon's overconfidence is what actually allows him, or doesn't allow him, to see what Stinger does next. Stinger utilizes his plasma blade to gut him, and then utilizing Dreadwing's blade, pulls a Dark of the Moon Optimus, shoving it through his head and ripping it and its spine clean off. And this is where Stinger simply looks at the bodies of Strongarm and Sunstreaker. Keep in mind, they're on the outskirts of Kaon. So Stinger buries them right there, telling them that while it's not a proper burial, he'll make sure this doesn't happen to anyone he cares about again. Not the Deathbringers, not Bumblebee, not RC, not Jazz, not even the new Prime. And speaking of which, Trypticon. The fight still plays out like the same in the original, right? With Optimus, Ironhide, and Bumblebee pushing back the first stage of Trypticon. However, as he comes to the first stage, this is where the Deathbringers come in. Dreadwing leading the charge as he pretty much produces blast after blast after blast. This is where Soundwave comes in and actually makes sure that the others are okay, but utilizing Laserbeak and Rumble, they're able to do some damage. And so when he figures out that everyone's okay, he actually goes ahead and starts blasting himself here. And this is where Blackout carrying Flame War, or basically Kazar tied to a coil, actually swings her around, as she simply states this is going to be the most fun she's ever had, as she utilizes her pickaxe. Yes, I'm definitely giving her that, because again, she is sadistic and crazy, but again, she is trustworthy. And she used it to cut open Trypticon's weapons, and Shadow Striker, using her sniper abilities, is able to shoot them. Bumblebee is actually pretty happy, as this means Stinger kept his word. He kept his promise, he kept his morals, and he's happy about it. And Optimus and Ironhide are both a little bit taken aback here, wondering if Trypticon did this himself, and even asks Soundwave. However, when Soundwave lays it down, they're a bit shocked, albeit grateful that Stinger has kinda come back to them. But right now, they can't worry about that, as while they did disable the main secondary weapons of Trypticon, he still has a couple: his shoulder cannons and his mouth beam. And he's about to fire until a red beam jolts out of nowhere and simply knocks him right on his back with enough force to shake the entire area. And this is where Flame War is like, heck yeah, she knew he'd win. She knew he beat Bludgeon. To which Shadow Striker's like, yeah, I think we all did, sis. And this is where Blackout is like, finally, nice to see that you're back, boss. And oh wait, that's Bludgeon's head. Dear God. I mean, great, but geez, I didn't expect you to carry it all the way here. And this is where Stinger simply drops Bludgeon's head and tosses Dreadwing back his sword, and simply tells the Decepticon, or his partner, his friend, his family, thank you. However, he simply states right now they need to work together. They can't go back to Decepticons, but he's for sure not sure if he can trust the Autobots either. Right now, they're doing their own thing, and they're doing the right thing. To which Dreadwing simply states, now that is a cause I can get behind. For Cybertron, for right, for justice, and for true peace. And this is where Stinger looks around and sees Bumblebee, who runs up to him in like the cutest little fashion and hugs his older brother, with Stinger doing likewise. However, as they break off, Stinger says, Deathbringers on me. And this is where we see them, the 6 remaining Deathbringers in their glory, all ready for battle and to finally end Trypticon. And that's what we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I'll be covering Starscream's role if Megatron actually gets rebuilt or revived, because I think that fall would have definitely killed him, no Dark Energon. And, well, we'll see where it takes us when it gets to the Fall of Cybertron chapter.